Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
We're going down to Paekakariki and saying good morning to Ward Councillor there and also our Deputy Mayor, Janet Holborow. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning, Nigel.
In fact, you're not down at Paekakariki, you're in the Mahara Gallery this morning.
I am indeed.
Gosh.
I'm surrounded by historic photos from the collection at the library.
Yes.
Beautifully framed in the Mahara Gallery frame collection. Now, they've got some hundreds of frames that they've collected over the years. And just a really fantastic exhibition. It's called Kanohi Ki Te Kanohi, Face to Face.
Right.
And, really wonderful.
And some people might recognise themselves in those photos because they're going back into the 60s, aren't they?
Yes, they do. They go back into the 60s. There's a lot of photos of people at parties. There's photos of clubs. There's a whole variety. Well worth a look. The other exhibition that's on here at the moment is a woman at the front line of climate change in Vanuatu, which is an absolutely stunning exhibition of beautiful big photos of women and their stories post the cyclones there, and then the effects of the El Nino in terms of being able to grow their crops again, and just a wonderful exhibition as well. So anybody who's around, pop down to Mahara over the next couple of weeks.
I think Janet's got a floor talk on there too at one stage or another, either with the photos or the Vanuatu, or has she just had the floor talk?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure when that's on.
I must check with Janet. I spoke to her last week and my memory's just gone, Janet, that's all. Now, on the other things, proposed Kapiti Road speed limit review. Have your say. The council, along with NZTA, are looking at several roads which need to have their speeds reduced, and one of those is the Paekakariki Hill Road.
Yes, that's right. So we're trying to push for some other roads to be pushed up the priority list as well a bit. We're also worried about Beach Road in the village and Wellington Road, and also to some extent the parade. So there's a few roads that we have an issue with. The Hill Road, though, I think I support a speed limit drop there. I think anything that discourages people from using it as a rat run and improves safety has to be a good thing. But we'll see what comes back in terms of the consultation, because I know that people live along there and there might be different views around that. So
this is open to the community to have their say. What do we do? Put submissions in, do we, on them?
Yes, so it should be quite easy to find the information on the council website.
Okay.
I think it comes up pretty much when you open the website, speed limit review, and there'll be a process that you go through to do it online. Also, you could just pop into the council offices. They'll have some forms to fill out if online submissions aren't your thing.
Of course, they're looking at it regionally, aren't they? Sort of Horowhenua, Upper Hutt, Pararua as well. So it's a big project. It won't happen straight away, but reducing the speed from, 70 k's on the Paekakariki to 60, you could understand that. It's a tricky old hill, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
What else have we got there, Janet? You got through Gita okay?
Oh, we did. We got a bit of damage to the seawall along the parade, actually some quite significant damage in a number of places. Looks like the repair to that is going to be around $100,000 worth of work. But the good news is the road is intact. A lot of the timber wall survived. We've got the main problem we've got is damage to stormwater outlet pipes. The other thing that's happened, which people are feeling very sad about, is the bridge north of the surf club has been utterly destroyed.
Right.
So it's being removed by Greater Wellington at the moment, with no immediate plans to replace it, because they have a policy of managed retreat along there, and they believe that particular location is quite vulnerable. The community are having a discussion about whether we're going to try and talk them into replacing it. We've even had the community suggest that the community replaces it with, the engineering and building capability we have within the community. In my experience, it's not easy to progress that kind of project with councils, community builds and community projects. But there's nothing stopping us having the discussion.
Yeah, sure. So that bridge takes you from where to where, Janet?
So it takes you from the surf club across the stream to the other side of the stream. So it's the access to the northern part of the beach,
yes,
to the beach north of the surf club. It also takes you to a little picnic area down the bottom, and to some toilets as well, some public toilets that are located there. So it's a bridge that's been very heavily used and very much loved too. So somebody set up a Facebook page and people are putting up photos of the bridge. Lots of people have taken lots of photos of it. One of my favourite favourite memories of it was the Caroline Boyd Memorial Walk that happened a few months ago.
Oh, yes.
And there must have been, 500 or 600 people and 100 dogs crossing it that day. I've got a picture of some dogs on the bridge.
Yes.
So useful for things like that as well. Also, we do have a number of people who use the beach at low tide to commute rather than the commuter cycle track. So they ride across the bridge and trundle up the beach on their bikes. So that's something that'll be more difficult to do as well.
So you can only use the facilities when it's low tide now?
Yeah, well, it's more about the stream. So it's a little bit like the stream that comes down next to the waterfront in Raumati. So sometimes it's quite easy to walk across, and sometimes, you'd get your trousers pretty wet if you're trying to cross in trousers. So it's more about access from one side of the stream to the other, and then accessing that bit of beach. Mind you, the flags that the surf club put out are at the southern side of the stream, so that's probably where people should be swimming the majority of the time during the summer anyway. I was actually talking to the surf club who were out picking up tyres. One of the other things that happened in the storm is hundreds of tyres were washed off the poles where they'd been placed to provide some protection for properties. They weren't tied down, and they were just lifted straight off the poles out to sea and then dumped right along the beach. And there were hundreds and hundreds of tyres on the beach. Now, the community's been picking up the tyres and putting them on the road. The council have been doing it whenever they've got time, but they've got a lot of work to do post storm. So the surf club went out over the weekend. They were having quite a quiet time, not many people swimming after the storm because the water was a little bit murky. So they took out their vehicle with the trailer and they were going up and down the beach picking up hundreds and hundreds of tyres and putting them on the poles. So thank you to the surf club for doing that. But while I was having a chat with them about that, they were talking about how they find it a bit frustrating that people come down to the beach and rather than swimming between the flags, they swim just to the south of the flags, or they swim a little bit to the north where the stream comes out, which is, of course, where the worst rips. So the big message to people is, if there are flags on the beach, swim between them. That's where you'll be most safe.
Yes, I used to keep in contact with them over the Christmas holidays when I was doing a day shift there, and the people at that stage were being very well behaved, but I suppose there's times when they will decide to swim either side of them. Not a good idea. So those tyres, when were they put there, Janet? This is quite an interesting little story.
Yeah, it is. So the tyres have been a traditional way to provide protection for people over quite a long period of time in Paekakariki. So if you walked down the southern end of the beach before the storm, there's quite a lot less there now, but you'll see poles with tyres placed on them, and that was how people were constructing kind of ad hoc homemade seawalls.
Right.
So when the sea came in with the enormous swell, it just lifted those tyres straight off, and we were just left with kind of poles there. So, and also I think some people had also embedded tyres into the bank, so that when the bank gets eroded, then the tyres come out as well. The sheer number of them, though, was just extraordinary. It was amazing to see.
So they've been there for many years, have they?
So I think, over the period of many years, people have been doing that.
So they're not going to replace them back there again as a protection?
Well, I guess if they do, they've got to think very carefully about how they secure them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen there.
All right.
A lot of them, I think, will just be taken away.
Yeah.
And people are surely going to want to protect their properties with more resilient structures, which are properly consented and properly built. So I think that's probably the way forward.
I suppose that's the next year. All right, Janet, and a few shows on down there, I should imagine, over the weekend, as usual, in Paekakariki.
So we've got a mulled wine concert coming up in March. I don't have the date for that on me, but I'm sure you'll be talking to Mary Gow about that. But looks fantastic, as I understand it, harp, viola and flute.
Yes.
And really high-quality musicians as usual, so really looking forward to that one.
Sunday, 11th of March, 2:30pm. There we are.
Excellent. Thanks, Nigel.
Good on you, Janet. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you in a fortnight's time.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Janet Holborow here on Beach FM.
106.3 Beach FM.